Hello friends. So this is my presentation regarding an introduction to the first classical critic that we are going to study, who is a Greek philosopher, and of course he is considered one of the greatest of the philosophers, and his views on literature are equally important as far as the tradition of English criticism is concerned, literary criticism is concerned. He was born. Actually, the year of his birth is not sure, but it has been assumed, the scholars think that he was born around 427 BC, and but it was confirmed that he died in the year 348 BC, before Christ. Mm, as far as Plato's introduction is concerned, he was the great Greek philosopher. And another important feature regarding Plato is that he was the great disciple, the great student, pupil of Socrates, the greatest of the Greek philosophers. His writings was in the form of dialogues, and his writing, which has been preserved through ages, is like this. There is the list: dialogues, Ion, Cratylus, Protagoras, Georgias, Symposium, Republic. As far as the students of political science are concerned, or the students of literature are concerned, whatever he has written in Republic becomes very important. Phaedrus, Philebus, and Laws. So these are some of the titles of his works. Uh, so basically, he was a philosopher, but his views, his observations upon literature can be considered as his contribution to the art of criticism, though he was not a professed critic of literature, because he was a philosopher, and whatever he thought, whatever he wrote, it was about the state, it was about the rulers, it was about the statesmanship, or the features of an ideal citizen and all that. Actually, he did not wrote any special work, any separate work, including his critical observations. So he was not a critic, and he never wrote a special book about literature and his critical observations on literature. Then why do we consider him as a critic? Because there are some utterances, there are some views expressed by Plato on literature in in philosophical discussions, while he wrote several of his dialogues. And basically, in those dialogues, Socrates used to be the person who was answering, and there were his followers who are questioning him, who are depicted as questioning him, and the person, the figure who answers, who explains all those things, was Socrates. So, his philosophical discussions in the form of dialogues. There is also a treaty called Dialogues, in which most of his views on literature could be found. Now, before studying what were his ideas, what were his views in those dialogues, it becomes highly important for us to understand or to know, at least to know something about the age in which Plato wrote, the age in which Plato expressed his ideas. So, as you can see, Plato belonged to the age in Athenian art and literature after the glorious period of the great artists like Phidias, Polygnotus. There were the great writers like Achilles, Sophocles, Euripides, Aristophanes. Achilles, Sophocles, Euripides, Aristophanes, they were the great dramatists before Plato, right? And Plato's age is the age after this glorious period in the history of Athenian art and literature. Plato lived in an age after the great writers like Sophocles, like Euripides, like Aristophanes, who wrote classic tragedies as well as comedies. So Plato's age is the post Sophoclean age, post Achillean age, or post Euripides age, or post Aristophanes age. And the period of these great writers was the glorious period in the history of Athenian art and culture. And in contrast to that, Plato's age was the age of philosophy and oratory. So we can say that the age before Plato was poetic, but the after Plato was prosaic. It was the age of philosophy. Philosophy became prominent. There were great philosophers, orators, right? The art of speaking, the art of using language in a very effective way, in a very beautiful manner. That is what oratory is, in simple words. So Plato's age was the age of philosophy, it was the age of oratory. It was the age of, there were the great philosophers like Parmenides, like Empedocles, and of course Socrates, the great master of Plato. And there were the great orators like Gorgias, like Antiphon, as well as Lysias. So it was the Plato's age was the age of philosophy and oratory. So this is the crucial thing why Plato was against literature. He was not positive about literature, we can say that, because in his age there were no great writers like Sophocles and Aristophanes, like Euripides, like Achilles, but there were great philosophers, and naturally it affected Plato's views on literature. So, what happened during Plato's age? Why he was not so positive about literature, about art and literature? Because in his age there was a decline in national character as far as the character of the nation was concerned, as far as uh, the principles, the morality among the citizens of Athens was concerned. There was a kind of decline in national character. Equally, there was a decline in the standards of social and public life. There were the lower standards of social and public life compared to the earlier ages. And philosophers like Socrates, like Plato, and others, They discussed matters related to the citizen and state, applying the test of reason. Reason, intellect, what the brain says, right? And so it was the age of reason, and it was whenever there is reason is far away from the emotions, the heartfelt emotions, and poetry is a matter of emotions. So we can understand step by step why Plato denies uh, poets an entry in his ideal republic, because Plato's age, being a philosopher, was the age of reason. They tried to examine everything, the philosophers, they tried to examine everything with the test of reason. Right? They are rational people, they are intellectual people, they are not emotional people. And literature, art, poetry, drama is a matter of emotion, is a matter of heartfelt emotions, tender feelings, that is far away from reason. Socrates was their leader with his dispassionate quest of truth. Dispassionate, away from emotions, without paying any attention to emotions and feelings. Socrates, he tried to find out the truth, that is the stark, naked truth, we can say that it is the reality, the facts only. And during this period, Socrates often challenged many an established belief and convention. So while discussing the truth, or during Socrates' journey towards the truth, for his quest of truth, Socrates often challenged the established belief and convention. Established, whatever is set, belief and convention, the tradition. And during this process, the philosophers also thought about the value of literature to society, its nature and functions. And during this search for truth, quest for truth, the philosophers, they also paid attention towards the value of literature to society. Is literature valuable? Are the arts any useful for the development of the society? What is the purpose of art? What is the function of poetry? So this is known as the utilitarian point of view, whether something is useful or useless as far as the government is concerned, as far as the state is concerned, as far as the republic is concerned, as far as the ideal society is concerned, and as far as the ideal citizen is concerned. So what is the utility, what is the use, the function of a poet, of an artist, whether he is useful in the development of the nation or not? That was his or her usefulness or uselessness. So they tried, so this is the test of reason. So whether something is useful for the development of the nation, in making an ideal citizen, a good king or not, gave that thing the value. So they tried to examine art and literature from this point of view. Who? The philosophers. And Plato belongs to this age. And the next point is very important. The age before Plato was of creative activity. Poetry, art, literature, all these things are the matter of creation. They need creativity, the creative powers, right? And the age is pre-Platonian age. The age before Plato was the age of creative activity. And opposite to this creativity is the rationality, is the utility, whether something is useful or not. And another important thing that is opposite to creative activity is the critical inquiry and analysis. Where, what is the critics, they with the help of reason, with the help of intellect, they try to define the good and bad. They try to define the qualities, good qualities as well as the bad features of something. So his own age, that is the 4th century, that is Plato's age before Christ, BC, was an age of critical inquiry and analysis. But before Plato, it was the age of creative activity, because it was the age of Sophocles and Euripides and Achilles and Aristophanes. So these are all the creative people, the poet, the dramatists, the writers, they are the creative people. And the philosophers, they are critical. They have developed their critical ability, inquiry and analysis. They analyze each and everything. So that is the difference between the age, Plato's age, and the age that is before Plato. So this is a brief introduction to Plato's age. And uh, while discussing all these things, we must come to some kind of a conclusion why Plato criticized poetry, why he criticized drama, why he denied entry to the poets and the dramatists in his ideal state, in his great work, philosophical treatise called the Republic. Thank you.